So he's called Nunu after the champion, so I'm his Willump and he's like my Nunu. He's like, oh, it's there with my girlfriend, and he's like my lucky charm. If he's not there, I can't win.
Welcome back to the European League of Legends Championship Series here in Cologne, Germany. We're going to start this Super Week Day 2 off with a battle for second place. It is Gambit facing off against SK Gaming, and this is the third time that these teams will be meeting, and the score is currently tied at 1 apiece. Gambit took down SK Gaming way back in Week 2, but today SK Gaming is looking to make it 5 wins in a row. Yesterday, Gambit lost out to Roccat in a 59-minute epic match where Gambit, well, they lost the early game, they pulled themselves back when I was wondering what the hell happened, thanks to some great plays from Alexic on Kha'Zix. And we actually have a clip of that moment to show you.
Yes, and this is already shown in our hashtag LCS Big Play, but I think we need to take an even closer look at the incredible moment. So let's pull this clip up onto your screens right now. It was the team fight that allowed Gambit to stay in the match for another 25 minutes. What I want you guys to keep your eyes on is Alex and how he makes use of vision. Now, what ends up happening is Roccat is going to play a little over-aggressive. Let's start playing the clip. You'll see that Edward is going to catch Vander with a Dark Binding, and this is going to be the go signal for Gambit. Darian's going to start channeling his Stand United in just a moment, joining in on the fight. And keep your eyes on Alexic on the top of the corner. He jumps in, gets the kill. Now he's stealthed up, out of vision from Roccat. Gets some poke down, he stealths up again, jumping in when he sees somebody low. And the thing that I like is he jumps over Celebar's head and goes into the bushes to deny vision once more. Grabs himself a triple kill, and you'll actually see Genja landing the last auto attack as Alex was swinging the swipe. That could have been a quadra. But part of the reason I highlight that play, and I think it's so good, is Alex, he stayed on the outskirts of the fight perfectly. And in general, Gambit did look good. They managed to defend against a very aggressive Roccat. I want to see how they work on their laning phase. It has continually been a problem all split long, and it was weak again yesterday. So they need to make sure they come out the gate swinging.
Well, SK Gaming themselves last recorded a victory over Gambit in Week 5, and it was a very one-sided affair. Candy Panda, well, he got Vayne, didn't he? Jesus, he was on Ziggs. Fantastic performance from both players.
Yeah, the match in Week 5 is just about Candy and Jesus being able to deal so much damage they wanted in the best-case scenarios, thanks entirely to Svenskeren setting up very early ganks with Pantheon and an incredibly strong showing from Enrated on Annie. He went 5-1-7 and got so many team fights in their favor. He's also been a player to watch when he plays those champions like Annie or Yona, and he's a force to be reckoned with in lane as well. And we talk about the laning phase a lot for Gambit because Genji and Edward will need to be very wary of him and Candy Panda.
And if you look at yesterday's game, SK really got a lot of key champions, but they lost out during the lane phase. But again, they managed to hold out long enough to turn the game in their favor and take victory over Millennium. Yeah,
they struggled to grab hold of the chaotic early game, but when they did, they were able to slow the pace down thanks to, once again, Enrated on his Annie. He got 3 and 4-man Tibbers. And on top of the team performance, I have to talk about Jesus. He stepped up as a mid laner recently. He's rarely dying. He got another great score yesterday, went 8-2-8. And I think as far as the mid laners go, he's definitely one of the most underrated in the LCS.
We talked about the big boots he had to fill. Ocelot, of course, used to be on that mid laner in the team. Is a massive void to fill, and he's seemingly done it so far. Let's check out those starting lineups over on the blue side. It is going to be Gambit Gaming. In the top lane, it's the Swag Lord himself, Darian. Diamond is in the jungle. Alexic, you saw so many big plays from him on Kha'Zix. Don't think that's going to get through. Genja is the AD carry, and Edward, well, he's support carry.
And of course, on the red side, it is Steady Freddy in the top lane, Svenskeren in the jungle, Jesus in the mid lane, Candy Panda as your AD carry, and Enrated as the support.
Could argue he's also support carry because he got those 2 double kills yesterday for SK with that Annie. So, picks and bans about to get underway. What are we expecting? We saw, obviously, as you mentioned, the Vayne. That got through for Candy Panda last time. He went huge on it.
So I've got it in my head that because Candy Panda is such a diverse AD carry, I don't think we're going to see bans targeted towards him. I feel like there's other champions you could get. You can try to push Jesus onto something he's a little more uncomfortable with. I think Lulu is definitely a consideration. If we are going to see some AD carry bans targeted, the Vayne is one you've already highlighted, and Jinx is a definite possibility. Candy Panda played it yesterday, and it's Genja's most played. He's played it 9 times out of his team's 17 games.
Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Picks and bans underway for Game 1 of Super Week. First ban about to come out from Gambit. We'll see what Darian's typing in. He's going to ban it out. It is going to be Nidalee taken from Jez's.
So very quickly, I also think champions like Pantheon and Evelyn can be considerations. Yeah, Sven Skjern has played a lot of Pantheon. He's very, very good on that champion. And it's not really something we tend to think of Diamond when he goes for that option.
Well, no surprise, Kassadin being taken away, but there is the Ziggs ban. We just talked about how Jez's went big on it in Week 5 against Gambit. It was taken away. SK also taken away Lulu. That's a champion Jez has been playing himself, but it's also a champion that Alex Hitch heavily favors right now.
What it does mean, Gragas is still on the table. We've had 4 mid lane bans. I wonder if that's going to be a consideration. If Gragas is not banned away, then we could see a mid lane like a Gragas Orianna. Jez likes to have those sort of farm-heavy champions, but if he does go for something like that, it allows Alex to play LeBlanc or Kha'Zix if he wants to go for an assassin-type champion.
There is the respect ban taking that Pantheon away from Sven Skjern. So many times we've said you just cannot let it through. It's the champion he's certainly strongest on. Elise taken away. That's going to leave a lot open. Now remember, yesterday, Diamond was banned out pretty heavily by Roccat. I wonder if they're going to think we need to lock in a jungler for Diamond to get him started.
You know, I think it's a very important thing, especially for a team like Gambit, who are very reliant on their jungler getting their lanes rolling. I think they have the option to go for something like an Evelyn here if they want to. Alternatively, even Thresh or Annie.
You've got to remember, Annie Vayne is on the cards, and we all heard Candy Panda saying, if he's going to play Vayne, they have to have Annie. Maybe Gambit's going to go for that one first.
The thing is, for the AD carries, Genja has the possibility of going for the likes of a Jinx. You know, we talked about it earlier. LeBlanc is a champion that's been banned against Alex many, many times, and we do see it's locked in now. One of the great things about this pick is it forces Jez's to play a champion that can deal with an assassin. LeBlanc has got a silence, a root, as well as a dash, so she can deal with a multitude of champions. And if you pick something like Gragas into her, Alex can and does have the tools available to 1v1 Jez's. I just want to see where they decide to lock him in. The one thing we also cannot discount, SK have run support Kayle in the past. It's not looking like it's going to be this game though.
And he is locked in for N-rated. We saw him playing fantastically on it yesterday, and another player we saw playing great was Sven Skjern. That Evelyn locked in for him. So these are big champions. It also means that, well, Kha'Zix is available, could potentially be in the jungle for Diamond.
It could be, and I also remember reading Diamond's Facebook post where he was saying that Kha'Zix in the jungle is pretty legit. And
he actually said it in the interview when they picked it. It was the other week when Alex was on it. The Kha'Zix was picked for him in the jungle, but it turned out that he had to let Alex have it.
The thing is, when we've seen Diamond not on his sort of go-to champions like Elise, like Lee Sin, those mobile, those gank-heavy champions, he's not as impactful. If you think about his Vi performances, they are not necessarily inspiring. So I quite like it if they are going to lock this in. SK have gone fairly safe. They've got a lot of pressure that can come from the jungle thanks to Sven Skjern's roaming. It has the psychological effect that Gambit have to decide how and where they're going to play the lane. And we'll have to see how the rest of this composition lines up.
Well, it seems that it will be the Lucian Thresh combo. It's a strong bottom lane duo, that's for sure. And you were asked, of course, on Twitter, hashtag LCS and Outlaw Esports, what is your favorite duo lone pairing? Well, Genja and Edward are making a play for that one right now, but they will be up against Candy Panda and N-rated.
So that's our #1 and #2 most picked champions of the EU LCS so far. And, you know, we're getting closer and closer to 50 individual performances. It's an incredibly strong lane. It's very safe as well. And what Gambit have done is they've let the option be available for SK that if this Vayne does get locked in, Gambit could run the likes of a Vi in the jungle. Vi plus LeBlanc, in theory, equals dead Vayne. But you need to be very confident in finding Vayne every team fight if they want to go for that sort of option.
Well, they don't have the Pantheon alongside him to lock up anyone that goes for that Vayne, which generally when he does pull that Vayne, it's a defensive strategy. With that Renekton in there, this may be what they're going to go for. Vayne is picked up, and Candy Panda is 100% successful on it so far.
Yeah, he's had incredible statistics when playing Vayne over the course of the split. 4 games played, 4 games won, with a 7.2 KDA. So, you know, his performances are impeccable. What I want to know from Gambit is who do they put in the jungle? You can see Lee Sin being hovered over. We've already seen Kha'Zix. I almost feel like Vi would be good because of the dive power. You've got a lot of mobility from this Lee Sin. And again, it's our most played jungler. And Diamond going back to his roots.
Diamond going back to his roots, and Aatrox may be coming out for Darren. He could be going back to some roots that he seeded back in the summer, but he's up against Freddy, who on that Renekton has played immaculate. over the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's also one of Freddy's most played champions on their Renekton. 7 games played, 4 of them are victories. Now, the last time we seen Darian playing that Aatrox, he got very far ahead. So far ahead, in fact, he tried to build mana on him. Didn't need it, but the point is, if Darian gets to a position where he is in the lead, he's not afraid to have some fun and build some items that are not necessarily core. What you do have, though, is 3 very aggressive dive-heavy champions. LeBlanc, Aatrox, and Lee Sin, they want to get in your face, they want to disrupt the team composition. Freddy himself has had brilliant performances on Aatrox, so I want to see how he's going to try to peel or how he's going to try to control these team fights when 3 members of Gambit are going to be trying to dive this back line.
They're all going to be diving straight into a potential Zed.
Wow.
Along with an Evelyn, along with that Renekton, which is going to be playing defensive duties, and Tibbers. They are fully prepared for this dive.
This is going to be an interesting one because this Zed in the middle lane is against everything that we've seen Jesus play. Everything. Jesus likes the long-range poke, he prefers the farm-heavy champions, and he's gone for an all-in assassin, which is actually quite smart when you consider there is potential to kill LeBlanc, there is potential to kill Lee Sin as well as Lucian. The only thing about this mid lane matchup is I feel like Alex has got slightly more tools to deal with Zed. Having the roots and having the dash away, the moment Zed comes at you, you can just use your distortion W on LeBlanc, jump away from the Zed, and avoid his shadows and his clones. But this is both of these team compositions are incredibly aggressive. They want to be fighting the whole time. In theory, we're in for a lot of kills.
In theory, we're in for a fantastic game, and this could well be an epic one. There's a lot of kill potential on both of these teams, so they're just sorting themselves out. There was a swap problem, which is why we saw them drop back out of that one. They're just going to sort themselves out, the players. But what do we see? What do we counter from these two teams? This is a lot of aggression from both teams.
So the split pushing power of the SK lineup is going to be stronger. Zed is going to be able to side push lanes. Vayne is going to be able to side push lanes. And they are some of the best dueling champions in the game. They've got a lot of damage. They can deal with one-on-ones, 2v2s when they've got a tiny bit of support. So I think for SK, the game plan could very realistically evolve into playing the map, playing the minion waves and pushing towers, pulling Gambit where they want them, and then only picking the fights they're comfortable with Svenskeren flanking from the side. On the other side of the coin, Gambit are a little bit more linear in their approach. They just want to throw their Aatrox, their Lee Sin, and their LeBlanc at you. And if they don't get somebody when lobbing their bodies at you, then it's going to be a little difficult for them to clean up team fights.
Oh, we're just waiting for them to get started. You can see Diamond giving some advice to Darian here. I'm not too sure if it's advice or troll. I'm not sure which way, with that big smile on his face and the smile from Alex. Everybody else grinning towards Darian. Clearly, there's some advice being given to Darian that he's potentially not taking on board.
That's a very serious discussion. And
I don't think that's serious.
I think what Diamond Prox is saying is you are not a wizard. You are not a wizard of the top lane, good sir. And you do not want to rush.
You do not need any magic items this time
Exactly.
on Aatrox.
You don't need a death cap on Shyvana, and you don't need a Manamune on Aatrox. As much as you want them, I think that's the message that's being sent. Darian, Swag Lord himself? We'll have to see how he works. I think in terms of Aatrox performances, if I recall correctly, Freddy played it against Alliance, and he was able to hold 4 members of Alliance at bay, getting a good knock-up, and then getting a good slow with his Blades of Torment. The tools are there, and for Darian, who likes to feed to win, champion with a built-in GA can never be a bad thing.
Well, while we wait for these guys to get going, let's check out what you guys at home think this game is going to start out. Let's take a look at your votes from lolesports.com. They have this one calling as a 72% win rate for Gambit. That's a big, big advantage. And considering SK Gaming, this is potentially their 5th win on the row if they take Gambit down here. The form book would be with SK.
I feel like this is a fan opinion vote and not necessarily looking at performances recently. I think even if you compare last week and yesterday's games, SK looked stronger and looked better than Gambit. Gambit had poor lanes. SK are known for having very solid lanes. Candypan and Rated are generally winning theirs. Freddy's going to champion that he can win his lane with. So we'll have to see how it actually plays out, how the cookie crumbles.
You think of Freddy, I mean, he was up against Shyvana yesterday, and he actually won out and pressured that lane.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't win that lane. It shouldn't happen. Whereas you look at Darian, he was on Shen with a static shift, as he likes to take. But he was doing well. He was doing his job. He was pushing lanes. He even got down towards that inhibitor turret.
The frustrating thing when you play a champion like Shen is you are so reliant on the rest of your team setting plays up and basically picking fights where they know the Stand United is available. You actually have very little game-changing impact yourself. Yes, your ultimate's incredibly powerful, but it can swing it if your teammates set it up properly.
You could argue that Shadow Dash he did, the taunt across 3 members of Roccat that set up the potential quadra kill,
Of course. The potential's there, but I feel like on a champion like Aatrox, it's more suited to his playstyle, it's more aggressive, he can jump into a fight, get kills, and work with Alex, getting additional kills, triples, quadras, etc. The one thing that I really like about Gambit's comp, they have LeBlanc, Lee, and Aatrox. That's a lot of mobility and a lot of quasi-counter-engage, you know? Those Blades of Torment comes out from Aatrox, his little triangle slows people down, you can kick people away, you can root multiple people with another chain from LeBlanc, and, you know, the tools are there.
But what do we make of the fact that Jesus, is this confidence? Has he now become so confident that he's gone for that Assassin, gone for that Zed, which we've never seen him on in the LCS? He's always played, as he said, the Lulu, the Ziggs, the Gragas, playing from a long way away.
This is a super weak pick. Super weak pick. Not super weak. A super weak pick, because we're going into 4 games. We have these preconceptions that Jesus is a farmer in the mid lane. He's a herbivore. He likes to sit back, play passively. We don't expect this kind of thing from him. Knowing that with that mindset, if they've surprised Gambit, all of a sudden you have the psychological advantage going into the match. The question is, can he pull it off?
Well, he's up against the ultimate carnivore in that mid lane, and Alex Ich is going to be looking for those kills, and he may well get them. We'll see who manages to win out, because the game is getting underway, ladies and gentlemen. If you just tuned in, well, you haven't missed anything yet. Gambit versus SK Gaming is about to get underway. This is the battle for second place. And honestly, I don't know which way this could go.
No, I really don't. I think we have to keep a close eye on that mid lane. I feel like LeBlanc has all the tools needed to deal with the Zed, as long as Alex plays it perfectly, and he's got some of the biggest Zed experience.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are live in the studio in Cologne, as you can see. Game 1 of Day 2 in Super Week, which will be going on as well. 6 games today, as well as 5 games tomorrow, and then you've got North America. 16 more games over the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It is epic viewing for League of Legends fans. And right now, the best in the business are going to go dueling on the Rift. Gambit versus SK Gaming. And they are already set up. We saw Gambit with Darian dancing and tricking the opposition yesterday. It didn't quite work out. It was Zazas, I think he was turning his back on and showing his backside. But this time around, Darian, he's in the bush. He's on the blue side.
Yeah, defensive start once again. You do have that power of a death sentence or an anti-stun at low level, but the meta right now is just to play safe, not to give up any of those advantages, not to lose buffs very early on. I want to see how this top lane and this mid lane is going to play out, because I feel like with Aatrox coming up against Renekton, Aatrox should have a difficult time in the early stages, as many champions do, against Renekton. The on-hit stun and the sustain from Renekton, from Freddy's Renekton will be very, very good. And Darian is not a player that shies away from a fight. He's more than happy to go for those pokes, go for those engages very early on. So we'll see how he plays it with the Darkened Blade up there.
Yeah, we'll see where Sven's going. He actually made some plays at level 1 that actually set up to taking the red buff at 7 minutes, which is around what he did before, obviously going deep, putting those wards down. We are seeing Gambit doing their maneuver. This is what always works out for them on blue side, going in towards that blue buff. They realize it's not a blue start. They know where Evelyn is now.
Now, if memory serves correctly, Edward and Genja have given up first blood at that exact position both times they've played Fnatic over the course of this split. It's just something they do all the time. I actually would have liked if SK Gaming had potentially grouped up or maybe got some vision, because Genja and Edward do it all the time. If you see Candypan and Rated now moving into this bottom lane, I think the early poke is definitely in favor of Genja and Edward, and they need to make it stick, because once we get closer to 6, all of a sudden the burst from Annie and the chase potential from Candypan is going to be very good.
Well, Darian goes aggressive on Freddy, but he really didn't seem to care too much about that one. Both starting up with the Doran shields at the top there. Of course, Darian does have that Bloodwell passive, which basically gives him a leash of life. If he were to go down to Freddy, he will respawn with a chunk of health, and he may well need it, because Freddy's not messing around in that top lane. Sven's going, he's got himself the blue buff, and he's continuing on his path. We do see Diamond, he's over at the red buff as well, so we'll see whether he goes to have a look at this bottom lane, whether he goes looking for any early kills, which you can do on Lee Sin.
Yeah, you can, and thanks to having the on-target stun from Enrated, he can throw the Q down, stun somebody up. The problem is, I think they're going to wait for SK to have a little bit more levels. You see, Diamond has already snuck himself into this bush. waiting, just anticipating. If Sven comes around, I'm here to turn the gank. At the end of the day, he's just going to get a tiny bit of experience, probably back away without actually doing anything further.
Yeah, nothing available for him. You can see they've pushed him way back, and the fact that there is a ward there, they would have just translated that across.
He's still waiting. That's twice he's cancelled the recall. The wave is now pushing towards Gambit's tower. So if SK stick around, there is the potential, but as it stands, Diamond has wasted a fair amount of time. Sven's cleared the top half of the jungle, and he also can't see anything in that top lane.
At the moment, it is actually level 3 being hit first for SK. Diamond's still waiting there. Cancels once again, and you can see Gambit, they're letting them push. They are baiting in this one.
Sonic wave for Candy Panda, that's where it starts.
Well, the Death Sentence doesn't land. It's Candy Panda they want. You can tell that's for sure. Trying to get on towards him. There's the stun being used, and Candy Panda being the focus straight away. Quick Condemn forces Diamond back, but he manages to catch back on towards Enrated. Not the damage they needed, though. And it's a failed attempt. No summon of spells, but actually a tell a lie. Enrated burnt the flash.
Yeah, I have to wonder why Diamond used the Sonic Wave onto Enrated. Maybe a little bit more patience could have caught out Candy Panda, but Flash wasn't used from Candy, so there is that fear of being pulled under the turret. Nevertheless, Diamond, his first gank attempt does get a flash from Enrated. It's going to allow Genji and Edward to go for a kill if they land a good death sentence. Immediately, Svenskone to reply. They're going on Edward.
The counter is in. They do go for him, but Svenskone does not show himself just yet. He's just going to bide his time. Still no sign of Diamond, and it doesn't look like he wants to go too aggressive. And we never actually touched on the fact that obviously when there's an Evelynn in the team, the opposition generally has to invest some pink wards. Svenskone coming around the backside. He wants to go towards Genji. You can see Enrated. He's building up that stun.
Yeah, he's going to be able to lock somebody down. There's no additional CC, though. The hook is no longer available. Sven, he's now just waiting for the perfect moment. They don't want to go in. Candy Panda maybe trying to barrier bait.
They're going to try and use it, but it's not going to work out. Svenskone shows himself, but they were ready and waiting for that one. Candy Panda was taken low. Meanwhile, we see Diamond coming around on towards Jezz in that mid lane. Not going to be enough, and really next to no damage coming out from Alex.
No, they did manage to get the flash once again. Diamond simply walking into lane was enough to scare Jesus to flash, pop that summon spell and get away. We talked about how LeBlanc is, she's considered by many of the pros to be an assassin counter because of the silence and the root and the ability to get away. Darian's going to get his Bloodwell pop.
Bloodwell is used. It will save his bacon, but that is now no longer available. Freddy is doing a fantastic job in this top lane.
So one of the things that Darian always does well, even in lane matchups where, you know, he's going to lose pretty much, he still gets farm. He's 7 CS down, and he's looking pretty good considering that he's had his Bloodwell popped. The Ignite is not available for Freddy, so there's going to be a couple of minutes of respite and survivability, basically.
Does mean he's going to get himself some free farm in that top lane. Aims a chain at best. He's gone for Alex Hitch, tries to go aggressive on Jezz, and that's just getting turned back around by Jezz. Doing a great job of farming against him, and as you mentioned, had burned his flash early on.
That was a little bit risky. I think Alex knew Jezz didn't have his ultimate, so he tried to farm a bit greedily. He actually put his Sigil of Silence on a minion and then popped it. Got out alive. He's going to go back. He's already got a small CS advantage over Jezz thanks to the fact that LeBlanc can basically bully Zed. But now that Zed has level 6, we'll see what Jezz is going to buy. And now there is outplay, there is kill potential if Jezz can get some good poke.
You know, this is the patented Freddy maneuver right now. He goes for that triple Doran's build, and it always works out well for him. Why is no other top laners copying this?
Wicked did. Wicked learned yesterday, picking similar build, actually exact build with Trundle into Renekton against Super Hard Cruise and Pela, and it worked for him. It gives you a very, very strong laning phase, and I think when you've got teams that are fairly happy to leave their top laners on an island, Freddy seldom roams around unless there's a dragon fight. It's smart. It's going to allow Freddy to bully Darian even further. He's got good sustain from getting the HP back from his abilities and those Dorans, and it just makes him a little more difficult to burst down. So, smart pick, and we'll see if we can continue to make it grow. He's only got a small CS lead right now.
So, blue buff taken by Alex Itch. We do have a look down this bottom lane. You can see both teams gone for that bumper, except the Candy Panda already pretty low, actually. So there's been clearly a good burst. I'm guessing it must have been a hook from Edward that started all that off. And you can see he's actually behind in build. He went for the boots instead of the second Doran's blade item, but Jezz, he is roaming and coming down the bottom.
Yeah, Edward's going to be in so much trouble. He's stunned against the wall.
Condemned on the wall there, and he's going to have to use that shield. Here comes Jezz. It's Genji he may well go for. Edward's a secure kill. He's going to use Genja to get to him, and that will be first blood for Jesus.
Yeah, very nicely done. And we see him roaming. Now Sven's in trouble.
Sven's in trouble, caught out by that mid lane and dodges out of it. Pops that ultimate back down. He may turn his back on his fight. You can see Alex Itch having to run away from that one. He used all his cooldowns, and well, nicely played from Sven.
Yeah, that was a straight outplay. Sven actually sidestepped the chains from Alex. Alex also had his ultimate available. I didn't see him using it there for that particular fight. So Sven gets out alive. Did need to use his ultimate to survive though. The one thing that I like about Jesus is he didn't go for the 1v1 against Alex. He has seen that there was an opportunity against the heavy pushing Genja and Edward, and he grabs himself first blood, gets that little gold spike. As long as Jesus can keep roaming and trying to get his other lanes fed, it's going to allow SK to get to a map split pushing power quite efficiently.
Yeah, during that, the Dominus was used by Freddy in that top lane up against Darien. You can see Darien was taken fairly low, and that's all happening. Suddenly, it often is like that. Suddenly, everything happens across the map. But as it is, SK Gaming have started off very well here. They've building themselves up just a small 1,000 gold advantage. But the fact that Candy Panda is keeping it even with Genja is a worrying sign for Gambit.
Yeah, it really is. You know, when you've got a lane like Lucian and Thresh, you want to be punishing that Vayne even more. Luckily, good tumble. Now, Enraged's gone back on Edward.
Turns it back around, Genja again covering off. This time he's been flayed out, and that's a problem. Candy Panda in all sorts of trouble. The Ignite should get the kill, and it's Edward that takes it.
Yeah, Candy Panda should not have been there. He burned his flash as well, so a kill secured on the side of Gambit puts them on the board. And I think Candy Panda and Rated playing a little overconfidently. They were low on HP, and they were trying to bully and use that tumble. Fortunately, it didn't pay out for them. At this point in time, I think the fact that SK have got a fairly good start, and Rater's now hooked.
He's hooked in, they're going to go for it. That's a dangerous play. He had that stun available, and Edward's tanking out the turret. One more hit should do it. They can't take him down, and now Genja's tanking the turret. Are they in trouble? Because here comes Jesus around the side there, chasing on towards Edward. Edward goes down. That's Jesus getting the kill.
Yes, second kill for Jesus once again, and a good roam. Now, this is good for Jesus that he's getting gold. He's going to be able to hit a little bit of a power spike sooner, but every time he's roaming, Alex is extending his CS advantage. He's got a 20 CS lead right now. He's got some armor built up from that wrist guard as well as the Fiendish Codex, and I want to see how Alex is going to roam, or how Alex is going to play this lane, because he's pretty content to not really follow Jesus right now.
But the problem is, Alex is 400 gold behind. So he's built up that lead, but you know, the fact that he's going off and got the kill, and obviously, of course, Edward had just got himself a kill, so that had been completely reset, so he got a big chunk of gold for Jesus. Darien and Freddy, well, they continue to go at it. Darien used his ultimate this time around. Dominus is available for Freddy, but Darien having to keep that wave at bay. Yeah,
so Freddy right now is once again just controlling this top lane. He's got a 20 CS, he's extending it further, getting some good damage in Darien. They may consider a tower dive, but this is very difficult on a champion like Aatrox because you have to get through his blood well, then you have to kill him again when he respawns. We'll see how Sven plays this out. It could just be counter jungling that he's going for. If Freddy can get the blood well in this top lane, that's when they could dive, but it's very, very risky.
Well, Diamond is not coming up here, so he would be all on an island. They're going to go for it. Dominus is available. They're going to tank it out. There's the Dominus being used up. He's tanking it for a long time. That's a quick Bloodwell pop. Svenskeren comes back around. He's going to pop back up and try and jump away. Is he going to be able to do it, though? Svenskeren can't tank the turret. There's a lot of damage on Svenskeren coming out from that turret, and they don't get him. Here comes Diamond. He's going to try and track around the side. Flashes, gets the Sonic Wave, and takes him down a range. Punts Freddy back in there, and now Freddy's in trouble. Darien didn't really read the play. I don't think he was expecting this to work out so well, but Diamond Proc proves the king of the jungle is still alive on Lee Sin.
That was fantastic from Diamond Proc, managing to get in range at the right time. The Flash Sonic Wave secures the first kill, and Darien just gets kicked backwards down the bottom lane.
Flash Tibbers on towards Edward. Vayne will pick that one up. Candy Panda gets himself another kill, and well, it's back and forth action right now between SK and Gambit.
Now, I think one of the things that SK needs to do is be a little bit more careful when they make those plays. We talked about how difficult it is tower diving in Aatrox, and Freddy just took too many turret hits. He was trying to get out of range, and then when he needed to come back in to put the Ignite down and get the kill on Darien, he just got forced out, got zoned away. So a good counterplay. The question is, where does Diamond go with these kills? He's 2-0 up, and he needs to start getting some of that gold on his carries, on his mid lane and his AD carry, like SK have right now.
Jez is really causing problems for Alex Itch in his mid lane. You can see Alex, once again, is very low. Jez is full health, fully stacked, doing a wonderful job, 2-0 in kills, no problem there. Candy Panda, well, he's 1-1-1. He's got that Bilgewater Cutlass. Jesus is roaming again. This is something that I like to see. Jesus is really stepping up as that mid laner right now.
Yeah, it's an evolution of the player. He's stepping up from being those farm-heavy champions to now a playmaking champion. He was controlling Alex for the last few minutes. Alex did just back off. Blue buff is stolen by SK thanks to that ward that was placed down earlier. And what I liked is it wasn't a solo attempt. Freddy was there, Jesus was there. When they realized it was safe, then they backed away. Now that Alex has come back to lane with full HP, I want to see what Jesus does, because he's basically said there's an opportunity bottom. He may set his sights on Genji or Edward again.
Well, they have the Tibbers available, and rated, tell a lie, he doesn't have Tibbers available, he's already used it, he had the stun available, and Jesus was looking for the kill. This time around he doesn't get it though, but that blue buff was stolen away, and it looks like Gambit want to make a play on their own.
Yeah, we'll see if Alex can catch Jesus. That was a great little shield. Alex still goes in for poke.
Oh, and he dodges everything out there. Nicely done once again. Alexic just being juked every time he tries to land his combo on LeBlanc so far.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. I think we've seen a few chains go wide. It was a little opportunistic, to be fair. You know, Alex was really chasing Jesus down. Now, Diamond realizes his blue buff has been stolen. Darien actually got vision of that one. That is good, deep wards now from Gambit, but nobody else has responded. Candy Panda and Rated have fallen back to defend their own blue buff, and Alex has been jumped on.
Jesus goes in. Alex is going to try and turn this damage back around on towards Jesus. Instead, he has to flash away the Ignite running. He may well get him here. Jesus is in trouble, and he goes down to Alexic.
Yeah, Alex just with a great play, landing every single ability when he needed to in that duel. Jesus did throw the death mark down, but we did see, thanks to the distortion, most of the damage is missed. Now, Diamond and Edward, they're trying to invade. Sven's caught them.
Sven's caught out, gets kicked away by Diamond. The culling from Genja actually doing a great job on Candy Panda there. That's going to force him low. Now 4 members of Gambit on this assault, but it's not going to get it because you already saw it. Svenskeren stole it.
Yeah, Svenskeren grabs the blue buff with the smite. It means there's no smite available for the Dragon, nor is Agony's Embrace up. So a 4-man Gambit, they've started Dragon off, and here comes Enrated.
Just trying to cause some problems right now, trying to interrupt them, making them tank it longer. Edward taken low, he's going to go down. It's a Dragon for Gambit, but it's a kill for SK.
Now we'll have to see if Freddy can do anything. Look at his positioning. I wondered if he was going to try come in behind SK, behind Gambit. Decides against it. So Gambit get the global objective of Dragon. They get the timer for that one, as well as the kill earlier on Jesus. I think if you look at it holistically, it ends up being a 1-for-1. Yes, SK did get a kill on Edward, but because of the kill earlier that they suffered on Jesus, it opened them up to the invade and the Dragon.
Well, at the moment, the top lane, which we haven't seen a great deal of, is Freddy pretty much dominating, but that Tiamat on Darien, he is definitely cleaving out those minions.
And it's actually quite a smart pick. I think Gambit need to have some answer to the split push power that SK is going to put down. And I actually think Aatrox, with his revive passive, could probably do very well against a Zed. You know, if they come up in a 1v1 situation, split pushing, Zed blows all of his cooldowns to kill Aatrox, and he just comes back to life from his blood well, sustains back up, and continues with the duel. So we'll see if Darren actually plays it out that way, because I think he does have some good tools to work with.
And more importantly, it's kind of the perfect champion for Darren, because you know, now and again he's going to get caught. It's going to happen, but with that blood well, he doesn't need that Guardian Angel on him, which he probably will build later on as well. But it does mean that if he gets caught out, well, he should be able to revive, should be able to get out of it. And that blood well, you can see back available. He's just going to fill it up with those minions.
So one of the things that we've seen from Gambit is they've been very hesitant on their pink wards. I think Gambit have been a little bit greedy with the vision, but it's worked out for them. Svenskeren, he is 0-1-1, but we haven't seen a super strong showing from him just yet. And well, I want to see if he can still find flanks. We talked about that mid lane matchup, and Alex seems to have Jesus' number. Every time we cut back, Jesus is low on HP and is at risk of being caught out.
Well, the difference is Alex doesn't seem... He's not afraid of using that ultimate. It's back available now. And, well, Jesus is almost certainly the target. That's what you can see Svenskeren laying in wait. Candy Panda's going to get spotted out by these wards. He does manage to ward up that dragon, or more importantly, ward out the river itself, because they want to make sure that Alex doesn't go roaming. You can see they're just hanging around the side. Sven coming around from the river. Is going to be unseen here. They're going to go for it. Ultimate being used. Alex, it's going to be the focus. Can he get away from this one? They're going to pounce. And Svenskeren gets himself the kill.
Yeah, so Sven secures the last hit. Jesus did use his flash and his ignite there, managing to just gank Alex. Alex was a little overextended. He didn't have his flash available, unfortunately. So Alex gives up another kill. This time it lands in Svenskeren's hands, and we see Sven now roaming towards the bottom lane. Very impressively, he didn't even use his ultimate.
Yeah, Tibbers is available as well now, so Enrated may well try and make one of those flash plays we saw him doing yesterday so many times. Genja coming in towards it. They didn't spot Svenskeren out there. That stealth assassin is still ready and waiting to go.
Diamondprox is in range, though. He's also got his ultimate available, so with culling just to clear the wave and try to force SK back. I want to see if this 3v3 actually starts out. Look for a hook from Edward if Gambit want to go in.
And this is such an important fight because they are equal in farm right now, these two. There's the flash Tibbers. Genja's going to be the focus. They do get away from it, and Rated gets hooked in towards that tower. Does get flayed away, but he manages to step away. Diamond was close by, but that tower is going to SK Gaming.
First tower of the game secured in favor of SK. This is also going to open up that bottom half of the map to a little bit more invades. That was a good play by Enrated. He didn't hesitate, jumped in, and I actually think the Condemn from Candy Panda would have potentially stunned Genja, but he managed to flash away and it knocked him to safety as opposed to into the tower. Now Alex, he's going on the mid lane, and Jez is in trouble.
He's gone towards Jez as he's taking the tower down. Evelyn is coming in. Is it going to be in time though? Alex gets in trouble. He gets the kill down on Jez, but he's going to fall to Svenskeren.
So a tower in favor of the kill. I think Alex will be very happy with that. He had his Deathfire grasp completed, used it in their previous fight, and just popped Jez's. This is the reason LeBlanc has been banned against Alex many times. Now in the top.
Dominus being used. Bloodwell is about to get popped by Darian. The Ignite running. And Freddy, well, he's not going to be able to jump on him. He did just use that pounce. He may be able to finish him off here. He's going to have to dive the tower. He goes for it. Doesn't land the stun. And now with that slow running, but Svenskeren is on the charge again and gets himself another kill.
Now we'll see if Diamond can do anything. Does catch Svenskeren.
Lands on towards Svenskeren. Sven's just going to try and run away from this one. The tower not hitting him. Gets punted back in there. Diamond controlling the ex-jungler. The MVP's not going to go towards him this time. Diamond's going to get on him, and Diamond making a play himself for MVP this week.
Brilliant play from Diamondprox. Flashes in front of Sven, kicks him back into the tower range, and once again showing his mastery of Lee Sin. 3-0 right now. Half of his team's kills have been secured by Diamond, and he just seems to respond when SK get an advantage. SK pull ever so slightly ahead. Diamond is there. He punishes that top lane, and he manages to get some gold back for his team.
Seems to be in the right place at the right time so far, and it's not really down to great vision because Gambit don't have a great deal of wards around the map at the moment. SK are on the move themselves. The Dragon is up in 50 seconds time, as well as the blue buff. Jez is making sure that is secured for his team this time around, and they have to get themselves ready for this Dragon fight.
Yeah, there's been very little movement from Gambit. I think we've seen Diamondprox roaming. Alex has made a gesture towards roaming, but he's been happy to sit in his lane. And I think Gambit, like I said, they've been a little greedy with their vision. They've got some deep wards on their own side of the jungle, but it's working out for them so far. They're even on gold with an SK team, and Gambit is going to scale very, very well. The only concern I have is how do they deal with the potential 1-3-1 split push that could come down from a Vayne and a Zed. We'll see how it pans out. As it stands with only one tower down, neither team is really making a big play for split pushing just yet.
SK Gaming actually grouping up in that mid lane, and a lot of pings from Gambit, realizing that he's there. We're also realizing where Jez is, which is why we see Alex Itch waiting to try and catch him on that roam up past the red buff. They have good vision around that area. He may well do it. He's sat in the tri-bush area at the moment, wondering whether to come up. No, it's going to go for River. Dragon is up. They're going for it.
So positional advantage is in favor of SK right now. They're grouped up a little bit tighter. You'll see Candy Penny and Rated getting in range. Alex does have some kill steal potential. Doesn't manage to get it.
Doesn't get in there. Svenskeren smites it out. No problem there. So Gambit do not get the second Dragon of the game. SK securing that one, no problem.
So two things that we've noticed in terms of itemization. The SK team seems to feel that the burst that Alex's LeBlanc can put down is potentially countered by the power of the Hex Drinkers. Both Freddy and Svenskeren have grabbed those as an early item. Now on an Eve, that's a little more traditional. We've seen Eve's going for the likes of that Maw of Malmortius and Randuin's Omen. On Freddy's Renekton, that's a little bit more obscure. Now Candy and Rated might be in trouble. You've seen Alex and Edward waiting around the sides. We'll have to keep our eyes on those Hex Drinker shields and see how they help out in these team fights.
I think he maybe just wants some damage to also counter the Darian. So it's like a double-edged sword, literally. Meanwhile, the mid lane is being pushed in. It's SK going to get in towards there. Alex should be able to wipe this wave out, no problem at all there. Eddie just staying around to get that experience. We do see Jez as he's still lingering in this bottom lane. Really wants to get on towards Genja, but Genja is not falling for it.
Not this time. The rest of SK are now roaming towards this bottom lane. You can see they have 4 members grouped up a little bit sparsely across this red buff area of Gambit. Sven's been caught out.
Sven's caught out, gets kicked by Diamond. Alex quickly follows through, just try and get that shield down. Is Sven going to live? No, he's not, but Tibbers catches out Alexic, and you can see Candy Panda chasing, but they only go for the mirror image. Genja, meanwhile, being dived on the tower. The barrier bait is enough. Candy Panda, with that ultimate, is not getting close enough, and that's a great fight for Gambit.
A little bit of overconfidence there from SK, I feel. They were invading, they were spread out, and that pink ward we talked about on the red buff revealed Sven's position, allowed Gambit to engage. Now they're on Candy.
They go for the flash, they don't get the hook though. And that means Candy Panda will roll away. He had to use the flash of his own. Meanwhile, the top lane, you can see Gambit this time around trying to turn it around. Darien wants to get this one. The Bloodwell, though, will be popped once again. This time, with that Dominus running, Freddy cannot fight again. He will dash away. I thought Darien may want to test that one, but he didn't fancy it.
Yeah, at this point in time, Freddy actually backed away from that one. I think he was anticipating Darien to maybe use that Dark Flight or similar. Freddy is still picking those fights. He's not outright winning them, and he's only got a very small CS lead. So that power difference between the champions is now working against them. In the middle lane, Candy Panda is a little overextended. He's been jumped on.
He's going to get jumped by Alexic, but he's not quite got the burst. You saw the leash just going wide there, and Candy Panda had to use that condemn to knock him away.
We'll have to see how Candy Panda plays this one. They were trying to focus down that mid lane tower. If you look at the last sort of 3 minutes of gameplay, when we were getting ready to Dragon respawning and Jesus has roamed to this bottom lane, Candy and N-Rated moved middle, and Svenskaren's always been fairly close by. SK haven't necessarily made a super concerted effort at going for the tower, but it did seem like that was their focus in prep for the Dragon.
With that Bloodwell down, Darien going to try and back away. Candy Panda actually waiting in the tri-bush. Oh, if only they had the vision, they would have gone around that corner and they would have caught Darien out. As it is, he's going to get away safe. Diamond making a play himself. He wants to get some wards deep in towards the enemy jungle. As it is so far for SK going, they're going for that 1-3-1 split. You can see it's Jesus. He's been down that bottom lane for a while now. Freddy continuing to push top. You can see it's SK. They really want to get that middle turret down.
I really feel like that's the game plan here for SK. I think their composition works very well for controlling those lanes. We do see the best way for them to engage is with a flank from Svenskeren. That was like the perfect opportunity. Catch members of Gambit a little bit unawares, unexpectedly, with the Agony's Embrace from the side, and allow the rest of SK to chase them down. Having 2 Blades of the Ruined King and having a lot of mobility on their squad, they can chase. Sven is going to be seen by Diamond, so Diamond may be thinking of setting something up.
Yeah, spots him there, just gets close enough just to catch himself that vision. Of course, it's tier 1 boots versus tier 2. Look at Freddy in this top lane now. Darien really is pressuring him. He hasn't got that dominance available, but as you can see, the straight up fight now, Freddy is not even close.
So I think with all of the armor that Darien's built up, the HP, and having that more of the Ravenous Hydra completed, now I think the power shifts in favor of Darien. You can see SK are split all over, and there's going to be a tower dive for Freddy. He's in trouble.
They're going for Freddy. Svenskaren's close by, but I don't think he can help. That's going to be the kick. Freddy does flash away. The dominance is there, but it's not enough. It is buying time, meanwhile, in the mid lane, though. Candy Panda pushing on towards that turret. He will get himself that mid turret down, which they've been fighting for a long time. Genja also in a 1v1 with Jesus down the bottom.
The question is, can Jesus get another tower? They've traded 1 tower for 1 tower, but Gambit came out in the lead because they got another kill. Now we see Jesus has actually backed away from that lane. Maybe a little overextended. The rest of his team is defending up top. So now we'll see Gambit. They haven't stopped the pressure. They're on the inner turret now.
They're going to keep pushing, but Candy Panda and N-Rated are moving around. They're going to try and set this one up. There they go. They catch on towards Diamond. They're going to come in, flash timbers. N-Rated. Darien goes down. Nicely done.
But they pulled every single member of SK towards them. Yes, they are now evened out the kills, but they prevented any other pressure anywhere else in the map. Jesus was roaming up. Now, Jesus actually looked like he may have been in trouble from Alex. Alex was looking for him, couldn't manage to find him this time around. And I think Gambit are dealing with this sort of map play fairly well. The moment they seen that Freddy was alone in the top lane, they did the tower dive and they forced SK to react. Push your lane down heavily with multiple members, and when SK are reacting to your aggressive play, they can't be split pushing themselves.
But they've left SK alone in this top lane. Candy Panda will chunk down this tower, and that will be the 3rd tower of the game for SK Gaming, giving themselves that gold advantage. They've now creeped themselves just 1,000 gold ahead once again. Edward's going to get caught out. Jez is going all in here. He wants to catch on towards him. He's got no help close by. Finally, we're going to see Diamond and Galaxy's coming in, but that was a quick kill by Jesus. Again, his 3rd kill on Eddie.
That was very well played. I think that just shows you a little bit of the the control that Jesus has. He landed every single ability he needed to. Even the follow-up Q as Eddie was walking around the corner worked in his favor. The problem is now Deathmark is not available for the ensuing Dragon fight, and Gambit have got a better grouping. We do see Jesus coming from the side. SK wants this fight.
They're going to try and go for it. Can they go in and get the steal? No. That's going to be Diamond securing it. Svenskeren taking very low. Darian's going to get focused on. He has got that Bloodwell though. That will get popped. He's going to try and get a kill down here. Jesus has been popped out by the Diamond procs. Now they're going to go towards Freddy. Can they finish this one off? Alex is still off at the side. He's had to back away from this fight. Freddy taken so low. They get the stun on N-Rated. Genja, sorry. Oh, and he gets condemned on the wall as he tries to get out. The final hit, the Ignite running. No! He gets away. And Gambit come out on top with the Dragon and 2 kills.
Very, very well played. The entirety of that fight, Candy Panda was trying to chase Alex around the corner. He wasn't in the pit dealing damage. Take a look at Candy Panda. He gets to the fight late. And remember, Jesus did not have access to his death mark. He had used it 20 seconds earlier to kill Edward. Now, the rest of Gambit stay fairly tightly knit, and we talked about the power of that Bloodwell in the pit. Candy Panda finally joins, but by the time he gets here, it is a little bit late. Alex gets away cleanly, and once again, you've just got Genja sitting on the back line, auto-attacking. He's spamming the whole time. Candy Panda has not landed a single auto-attack yet this fight, other than one brief condemn on Alex. And as soon as you see the shield timing out from that Hex Drinker, we did see Svenskeren going down. Genja fails his dash, but still had a flash to get over the wall.
To use that flash, he saw so many times trying everything to get out there. Can't believe that last hit didn't quite finish him off. SK Gaming, they're trying to set up something here. You can see Gambit are maybe looking to make a play in that top lane. While this is all happening, they've left the bottom lane completely open to Genja and Edward.
Yeah, so Genja and Edward are pushing on that bottom lane tower. While we were in the replay, we did see N-Rated just getting popped by Alex in the picture-in-picture. It's very quick to track those because it is a LeBlanc burst. Now Sven may be in trouble. Oh, Sven actually gets himself that big Wraith as well. I thought Alex may have hopped over the wall, decided against it. What we can take away from that Dragon fight is, yes, Jesus can play Zed. He's mechanically sound, but he needs to just think a little bit more about his abilities, because had the Death Mark been available in the pit, maybe there was kill potential in other champions. This is a two-man Baron that Gambit have started.
They've done this so many times, and you can see it's Alex running interference. They have no idea, no suspect that this is happening. Finally, Jesus is going to come around, but he immediately finds himself in all sorts of trouble. Svenskeren's gone deep on Edward, but remember, the Baron is being taken here. All Gambit are doing is simply interfering with play, and the Baron is taking half hit points now. Freddy comes around, but it's Alex is using the entire burst. He's going to get stunned up. Alex is in trouble. Timbers goes down. They do get themselves a kill. Now they're going in towards the pit. Jesus comes in. He gets knocked away. The Baron's still tanking on towards Jesus. Jesus has to run for his life. The Baron will take him down. Diamond gets himself another kill. Now we see that's going to be Timbers being mauled. But they didn't get the Baron. It's a 1-for-1, both mid laners.
1-for-1, and SK managed to interrupt the Baron. That was a very big play from Gambit, forcing them towards, forcing SK towards their position. I think Alex, maybe a little too over-aggressive. He could have afforded to peel back a tiny bit more, use his spell reel on a slightly squishier target. Nevertheless, the tactical thought by Gambit works very well. The strength of SK is when they're allowed to split push, when they're allowed to play the map. And when you don't let them do that, they're not doing well. Now, Svenskeren hanging around on the side. He's going to go in on Genja.
He's going for Genja. Edwards laying in wait just off at the side. There's going to be the catch on the Lantern being used. Pulls him to safety.
Yeah, manages to get out cleanly. I think that was very smart play by Edward. Edward hung back. Genja was hammering away on the tower. And the Dark Passage, the Lantern, was always available. So we're just waiting for the exact moment to bring themselves back.
Guardian Angel now picked up by Darian. He needs himself those 2 lives. He's one of the players that he's not afraid to get stuck in, let's put it that way. And actually, if you looked at that last fight, they did focus Darian, which even with that Bloodwell available is probably not the best target to go for. But with that Hydra, that splash damage, he really does wreck some teams.
It's so difficult if you're a team like SK, because if you focus Aatrox down, everybody else is going to focus you. But the problem is, if you don't burst Aatrox out, Jens is going to try on Darian.
Going to try and take that Bloodwell down. We'll see how it works out. But oh, Alexich is there to save the day, and Darian gets the kill.
Truthfully, I think that was overconfident. Now N-Rated's in trouble.
N-Rated having to flash away from this one, also using that talisman. Tries to turn it back around towards Diamond. He can just safeguard across. Actually use the ward, not Genja, to get himself out of there.
Yeah, manages to get out cleanly. And I think with the amount of armor and the GA on the side of Darian, Jesus was just feeling maybe a tad overconfident there. Does go in, gets caught out, unfortunately.
This game is pretty wild so far. 13-10 in kills, 32 minutes into this game. And again, the Baron being started off. Darian soloing it out with Genja. Now this time Diamond's coming in. And with that Jez is down, this could be Gambit
Yeah, 4v5 in a best case scenario, and Agony's Embrace is not available yet. Edwin and Alex running interference.
They're trying to get in there, but look at Freddy. He's taken so low. Gets absolutely slang dunked. Darian in there, and Rated doing any stun he can. Darian, it's all the Bloodwell is all they're going to do. They've interrupted the Baron, but at what cost? You can see Freddy. He's in all sorts of trouble. He's going to get stunned and killed down there. And Gambit get themselves another 2 kills and just go straight back to Baron.
They're going to be able to grab the Baron now. The Agonies is still there for Sven. He's going to try potentially a last-ditch steal, but Alex is waiting in the wings. He's going to interrupt. He's caught Sven Skaren.
He's going to try and catch him out and just blows him up. Candy Panda, you're not going to get out of this one. He gets slam dunked by Darian, and now again they go back in there. This time it's Jesus. He's all on his own. Can he interrupt them again?
I think he's just going to give away another kill. There's too many members of Gambit available. Jesus poking away from the side. Baron's down to 4,000. We'll see how he plays it.
He's putting a good poke on towards Genja. Genja running interference. Actually, they're pretty low themselves, but it will be the Baron for Gambit.
And with that, that is now a great controlling move here by Gambit. They've got a sizable gold lead, they've got the Baron regen, and it's going to allow Gambit to start sieging up and looking even for tower dives right now. With Aatrox that has multiple revives once the GA comes off cooldown, that is a great tool to use to go under a turret.
And look at Darian. Bloodwell back, no problem there. Just going to carve out himself another wave of minions in that top lane and continue on his farm. Keeping up so well with Freddy, and now he's starting to get those kills. He's tanky enough that he doesn't need to worry, and of course that Guardian Angel was what was popped, not the Bloodwell.
And what's going to be very difficult for SK now is the killing power that they have. You can't use Zed against Aatrox. He's got revives. You've got a Zhonya's Hourglass and Alex, which means he's going to be able to dodge the death mark. You've got a GA now on Genja, which means your only real possibilities is going to be on Diamond Prox or Thresh, and those are completely suboptimal. So it just makes so much more, or it adds so much more pressure to Candy Panda on Vayne, because he needs to get through all of those people, and he has to do it multiple times.
And he really hasn't got going yet either. He's struggling out in that Vayne and controlled him very well, and as you mentioned at the start, they didn't feel it was worth the ban because they knew how to control it. And that's really what the team is all about, how to control Candy Panda. And obviously, putting Jesus on Zed is kind of like an added bonus to them, because if you think about that Gragas was available in there, they could have thrown out those explosive casts and maybe disrupted some of that control that Gambit just have right now. They're just dominating all this control. They're going to push on this tower. SK can't really do anything about it.
No, it doesn't look like they can, and they're not even going for it. The Lantern's there to pull Darian backwards.
Darian has no cares right now. He's beating down that turret, continuing to just tank out the entire team with that Bloodwell still available, and that was an easy pickup for Gambit.
Yeah, Genja's on the front line, basically taunting Jesus, saying, come on, throw the death mark down. I want you to come in. We did see that Candy Panda use his ultimate. Hook doesn't catch anyone in Gambit. They're going to just continue using the power of Baron. They haven't stopped the siege at all.
They're going to keep powering through on towards that inhibitor turret. Look at Darian. Look how much lifesteal he's just getting back. He's actually gaining health attacking that turret right now, attacking those minions. They're going for it though. Genja's the target they went for. He has, of course, got that Guardian Angels. They get themselves ready down. Darian's Bloodwell has been popped, but SK are running scared right now. Sven Skaren's going to get focused in. Candy Panda's gone down. The Ignite running. That's another kill. That's Sven Skaren going down. That's going to take down the inhibitor, take down the inhib. They can finish the game.
They've got enough time. There are minions coming in behind them. There's a 45-second death timer on the side of SK Gaming. Gambit are still grouped as their entire team with multiple revives. They're on the Nexus turret.
It was a long epic yesterday for Gambit, and well, SK Gaming, they were looking to try and make it 5 games on a row. It's not going to happen because they've come into the Russian juggernaut once again. The men in suits will be taking themselves a victory and securing second place in Super Week.
Very dominant performance. I think SK, they put together a map controlling team, and they were never allowed to play the map. Gambit controlled them. Gambit put pressure on towers, put pressure on Baron, forced SK to play the game on their terms, and won the game because it was their game plan.
And you know what? We've talked about Sven Skaren, we've talked about amazing on Lee Sin, but you can't count out Diamond Prox once again on Lee Sin. 5-0-10. So many of those counterplays that Sven Skaren was trying to run on that Evelyn, Diamond was there.
This is the 4th game that Diamond Prox has played Lee Sin. It is the 4th victory for Diamond on Lee Sin in the LCS. His average KDA before this game was 10.8. And you can add another 15 to those averages because he didn't give up a single death. Unkilled, and he had brilliant plays. His kicks were great, his slows were great. The early double kill just really got him rolling, and I was like, well, let's see how it works. Hey, don't doubt Diamond. I learned my lesson.
And don't doubt Alex Hitch once again. You give him an assassin and he plays well. 9 kills, 3 deaths, 5 assists. Another fantastic performance, and he kind of had Jesus in his pocket towards the end of that.
Yeah, he really did. The problem was Jez's, I think, his game plan was roaming. I think he wanted to try to control the other lanes, try to get Vayne going. And yes, he got some kills onto Edward, which was great. But every time he went back to lane, Alexic was in his face, chunking his HP down, and completely controlling him in that mid lane. He was never really able to pop somebody in a team fight, and when you've got Zed, you need to be able to do that.
And that 1-3-1 split, it didn't really work. I mean, they should have counted in the fact that, A, Darian was on Aatrox. It's a big, long, strong lane pusher. Once he got that Hydra completed, you could already see Freddy really couldn't counter him too much.
Yeah, it's actually, I feel like it's a very smart pick. I think if you put that Aatrox up against, like we said, the Zed, Zed can burst him down, but then he just revives and pushes you back. If you put him up against a Vayne, he can knock Vayne up, he can slow Vayne down, and with a Randuin's Omen and a Hydra, there is the potential to actually out-damage, even out-sustain Vayne's damage in the early parts of the game. So it was a very smart pick, and I think more important than that, Gambit never gave SK a chance. They forced them to go to towers, forced him to go to Dragons, and forced him to go to Baron.
Well, we have to head off the Rift for now, but when we return, Shox and Joe will be speaking to Gambit's Diamond. 5-0 his performance on Lee Sin. We'll see how that one is. And then, of course, it is time for the Copenhagen Wolves to face off against Alliance. But first, you say tomato, I say tomato. I say Warwick, and not Warwick. Anyway, Alliance's outspoken mid laner gives us a quick lesson in Danish about the pronunciation of his summoner name.
The pronunciation of my name has always been up to the casters. I'm just calling it Froggen because I'm Danish, and when you're ending sentences, like words or whatever, you're like usually using en. It's like frog with like some kind of Danish ending, I guess.